Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having a great start to your year. I hope you're getting this week off to a great start. I know that a lot of people across the U.S. are battling some very intense weather situations. I'm hoping that everybody is safe, no matter where you're at, and warm. Look, this is normally Transformational Tuesday. So I want to talk to you today, if you will allow me to, about the dynamics of transformation. But I also want to do it from a place of casual, direct, honest, transparent communication. Um, I don't simply want this to be a video or a speech message. I want to really talk to you because I think that it can be real easy to get caught up in the hoopla, the constant stimuli of back to back to back to back to back information about this, about that, and to get caught up in that vortex of this is what my life is supposed to be. This is how some things are supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to be going on in my life. And you can start judging yourself by these little snapshots of rapid fire information, and you're not getting the entire picture. You're not allowing yourself time to truly examine, break down, anatomize the entire process that leads to any one thing. Number one is everybody that's presenting isn't. And then those who are not given to the importance of making sure you understand process. You have heard me say and speak and preach process for as long as you've seen and heard me, because it is an immensely important element and component of success. There is no success without process, but very little of what we consume now is in the veins of process. Why? Because we are literally being programmed by the very delivery of information via whatever media source we're looking, music, uh, entertainment, movies, television, social media, mainstream media. Everything is, it's happening like this, and then it's on to the next one happening, and you don't get a chance to truly examine or explore or to fulfill the basic dynamic of human processing. So it's all happening rapidly, and you're all trying to find out where you're at. And if you're not careful, you'll feel lost. You'll feel that you're underperforming. You'll go through all different types of negative emotions, negative states, because you are judging yourself on this rapid fire system, which is designed to keep you excited and keep you controllable. Because if I can keep you excited, and you're constantly moving from one thing to the next, you're never processing information, you're never learning, you're never growing, you're never developing, and you are more malleable and controllable that way. You're more easily manipulated. Buying decisions, political decisions, all these things are controlled by the media. Now, what you have to learn to do is understand the power of the media and the ability to pull from that which you need. The old folks used to say, take the meat and spit out the bones. You got to be able to do that. In order to do that, you have to be willing and able to be disciplined enough to determine the frequency at which you're going to engage this sensationalized rapid fire processing of information. We need to cut down on screen time. Probably 70% of the time I'm posting on social media, I'm not actually on social media. I'm using a content management system that allows me to post on all of my different platforms from one space. And it allows me to post without having to read and engage everything on there. And I do visit because I like to interact with people. I also like to observe, but I control when. It's so important. But I want to talk to you about transformation. I want to talk to you about how you can become the person that you need to be to have the things you want to have. But I want to talk to you about it in the sense of realness. I want to talk to you about it in the sense of process. I want to talk to you about it in the veins of the step-by-step elements and components of this transformation that has to take place. For years, I have been a leader in transformation on a international level. I have helped people around the world, from business owners to students to athletes, um, and so many more, literally transform their lives and transition into better places, better situations than they are. And even some of the top performers have come to me because they know it's another level. There's always another level. And transformation is systematic. There's this thing you do. God designed us specifically, and what we have done is we have allowed outside and external forces to interrupt the natural process of personal development and personal growth. What I do is I help people get away from the distractions. I help people get away from the subliminal suggestions about who they are, what they are, and where they are going. And I help them discover the true nature of themselves and the power that lies within them to solve any problem they face, to get through any trying and troubling situation, to not be caught up by delay and disappointment, and on and on. And there's this process. I'm going to give you a snapshot. What I want to do real briefly is point you to the description box. One of my best programs is the Mind Unleashed program, which helps people get past limiting beliefs, to redevelop their self-image, which helps them with their self-esteem, which helps them with their self-confidence, which builds the capacity to go out and to do the things in life that they set their mind to. I can tell you this now. You've heard me say this countless times. Psychology is about 80% of success. You can have the best plan, you can have a great strategy, you can have all the right people, but if your psychology is off, if you're constantly talking yourself down, if you're constantly believing that it's impossible, whatever you believe you expect, whatever you expect you get, God always meets you at the level of your expectations. It's that simple. And you can say God, life, the universe, however you want to shape it. It's the bottom line. You're never going to get beyond your expectations. So then you have to be able to sculpt and shape the mentality that shifts and changes and transforms what you expect out of life. And that's a process. The beautiful thing is we are never trapped into our current state. We are literally in a place where we can consistently, through this uh thing called neuroplasticity, where we literally can create new neural pathways, new neural thought patterns that offer new ideas and double our pathways so that we are able to literally rewrite. And I'm going to talk to you about that. But that course is in there. And also, you're running out of time on the offer that I gave you guys, where the $607 7-day online business lunch course is now 207. There's only like 4 days left, or until 100 people sign up, whichever comes first. That's a chance to get on that. That's a great way to create multiple streams of income online. It's the very blueprint that I've used for 14 years to establish my online presence in multiple categories. And it's there for you. I created it for you, and it's a great opportunity. It pays for itself. Now, let's talk. Okay, so there are basically 2 times a day that you are going to be in an optimal state to create powerful transformation and transition. And it's as you're transitioning out of one brainwave state into another. What you're going to do in the morning time, you're going to be coming out of delta, which is deep sleep. You're going to be coming through alpha, through theta, through alpha, through and eventually into beta. Beta is when you're at your most consciousness. Now here's the thing. You can learn a lot while you're in beta, but here's the problem. Beta is the time that you're engaging all the stimuli, all the information. It's when you're your most alert and when your belief systems are on 10, meaning that anything that challenges your belief system when you're in a state of beta is going to be immediately challenged by the belief, and it's going to dismiss it, reject it, find any way to move it, because there's this thing called cognitive dissonance, which is a cognitive or mental discomfort based on conflicting beliefs that you're placed with. And the easiest thing to do is find a way to discredit the message. So you are going to automatically, dogmatically push against anything you believe. If you believe poverty is your lot in life, anybody telling you that you can do anything you want financially is going to sound silly to you. You're going to immediately rebut it. You're going to come up with the 50 reasons why you're never going to come out of poverty. If you talk about Starting a business. If you never started a business, if you come from a place where none of your relatives ever started a business, and someone is telling you you can start a business from where you are right now, you can start it within X amount of days and you can have it up and you can have it running, the natural inclination is going to be to support the belief and to avoid the cognitive discomfort that you're feeling. And so you're going to come up with all the reasons why you can't start a business. And then everything that you're searching for in that way is always going to be what you search. You guys understand that this vast array of information that's flowing around you at all times, you can refer to it as the mind of God. That's answer to every situation. Here's the thing: is it's like your brain is like Google. It finds what you tell it to find. If you have a bias in your search, you're going to get biased results on Google or in your brain. If you go out and you ask Google, what are the 5 reasons that I'm going to fail in business? Google are going to go get the top 5 reasons that you will fail in business. And it is not going to subsequently come up and say, however, here are the 50 reasons why you will survive. It's not. You're going to have to go out and say, okay, uh, tell me what do I need to do to survive in business? What are the things I need to do to give me the best chance to win in business? What are the things I need to do to give me the best chance to change my financial situations? What are the things I need to do to change uh, my situation in partnerships and whatever else? It's going to be what you search for. Same thing with your brain. If you're constantly telling your brain what to look for and you're saying, I can never do that, your brain's going to go out and find every reason why not to. If you tell your brain you're sad, your brain's going to go out there and find every reason why you're sad. You sit up there and say, I can't experience love. Your brain's going to show you why nobody loves you, why you're going to have to go out with the right mindset. And that's a transformative process, but you've got to be able to do it when it's best for you. Now, the funny thing is, when we're children, all the way up to around ages 5 to 7, we're in almost a constant state of theta. Even when we are alert and awoke, we are downloading information and we're processing information, because what are we doing? We're building paradigms. We're building the very dynamic state, the psychological framework for how we're going to operate in the world. We're determining what we can do, what we can't do, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's legal, what's not. We're learning all these different things, and it's shaping and providing the framework for how we're going to move through life. So depending on what environment you grow up in, it's going to determine what you expect from life. And that's going to be your initial framework, your initial paradigm. The beautiful thing about paradigms and framework is that it can be shifted. You can create a new paradigm. You can create what we call a paradigm shift or a paradigmatic shift. You can create this on your own. You can create this. I've taught courses for years on creating paradigm shifts. And what it begins with is to change the framework. Now, the problem is, remember, if you are conscious, you're going to have a conscious awareness of what you're trying to tell yourself. The new ideas aren't going to flow freely. They're not going to land. But just like when you were up to 5 or 7, you was in a state of theta. What's that? Where you're downloading information. You're not rejecting it. You're not saying that's stupid. You're just sitting up saying that, okay, that's what life, that's the information that's flowing. That's what it is. It's what it is. And you're building that. Well, you do have these times, even as you move into adulthood, where you're in theta, and it is when you're passing either from delta, which is deep sleep, to theta, to alpha, to beta. And theta is where you want to be. Why? Because theta is when your body is almost completely asleep, but your mind is still awake, but your conscious mind is turned off. Why is that important? Because your conscious mind cannot reject whatever you're giving it. It's the best time for tape recorded affirmations. It's the place you want to get when you're doing meditation. Why? Because meditation, what takes all the stimuli away, it allows you to retreat from whatever's going on and get to a place where your mind is completely open and you can use visualization to present imageries of new truths. It's where you write your new narrative. It takes you from a state to where your brain is a record of the past to being a creator of the future. And what do I mean by that? Most people, 90+% of the people in the world, are operating from a place where their brain and their mind are records of the past. And so everything they do what? They consult their past. And here's the problem. If I'm ever going to do something different than I've already done, If I'm ever going to achieve something that I've never, ever done, I cannot consult my past for permission to do it. Why? My past has no information on it. My past cannot confirm it. My past can only tell me that I've never done it before, which will what? Reinforce doubt. So then what must I do? I must be able to understand that this mind and this brain I have is far more than just a record keeper. It has the capacity to consume. It has the capacity to create. That's what the imagination is. And God gave us all of that. But what we tend to do is destroy it in our children. We tend to tell our children at a certain age, when it starts getting time to get close to going to school, get your head out the clouds. Stop daydreaming. That's not realistic. And what we do, we start crushing the imagination and start preparing them to fit into this social framework that everybody else is in, the status quo of average and mediocrity, because that's where it's safe at. If you do this, if you do that, if you do this, this is what you're going to get. The thing is, you were never meant to be in that box. You were never meant to be in that enclave of mediocrity. You were meant to explore things outside of your comfort zone. You can never, ever truly create anything of any meaning inside comfort. So you have to escape it. You have to escape it. So when you're in a state of theta, it's 2 times a day. When you're going out of beta through alpha to get to delta, theta is right there. It's where you've surrendered your consciousness, and you've all been there where you've gone to sleep, but you can still hear the TV, but you're not responsive to it. You're not moving. It's just, that's where you want to be when you're feeding your mind new information. That's where you want to be when you're actually visualizing these new things. And why is that powerful? Because God also designed the brain and the mind not to be able to distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. Why is that important? Because when you're visualizing, when you're writing it down, when you're visualizing, when you are imagining it, you are literally creating new neural pathways as if you're already doing it. So when you imagine doing something consistently over and over again, you're creating new neural pathways that say, I've already done this before, creating confidence, creating an idea, creating a focus. And the more you visit it, the more you spend time with it, the stronger the neural pathways become. These new neurosynaptic connections will make categorical connections to all other corresponding ideas, topics, and situations, so that now when I think about this, if it has anything to do with this, it's an automatic processing of the brain that connects the two. And there's this constant growth and development that you create by visiting. And then what else do? You reject anything that is not in alignment with this new narrative that you're writing in your imagination. Prime example. Before 1954, it was believed, and you've heard me share this a million times, it was believed that you couldn't run the mile in under 4 minutes. It was called the 4-minute barrier. Couldn't do it. Everybody believed you couldn't do it. And to double down on that belief, there was also an additional belief that says, if for some way you were to run that mile in under 4 minutes, you wouldn't live to celebrate it, because your heart would explode and you would die. So the first thing is, when I started reading the story of Roger Bannister and I saw all these limiting beliefs, the things that hold people back, the first thing I said is, Roger Bannister wasn't the first person physically capable of running the mile in under 4 minutes. There were a bunch of people, I bet you, that were on pace to run it under 4 minutes, checked their watches and realized they were under pace of 4 minutes and said, I don't want to die, and literally backed off, got afraid of the unknown and wouldn't approach it. But what happened is, Roger Bannister in 1954 runs the mile in under 4 minutes, and immediately he gets swarmed by the press and media of that day. And the thing that they want to know is, how in the world did you do it? What did you eat? How did you train? He said, I didn't change anything. The only thing I did is I ran it 1,000 times in my mind. He just ran it over and over in his mind until his mind believed, I do this all the time. I do this 2 or 3 times a day. I do this. He ran that mile in his mind, second by second, under 4 minutes every time. Then that one day he steps on the track and his body repeats what it believes it's already done, because it's been communicated from the brain to the cells. The cells are also keeping note of what the mind is processing and believing and imagining and the vision, the body works in unison. And there's this beautiful thing happening. Now, here's the crazy thing. Once Bannister ran it in under 4 minutes, the next 2 years, I want to say something like over 200 other people did it. In the next 20 years, something like 2,000 people did it. Why was that possible? Because now it was no longer impossible to the human mind. People believed it can happen, and now everybody's doing it. Everybody could have done it, but just the belief that you couldn't. What did Socrates say? He who believes he can and he who believes he can are usually both right. uh Henry Ford would come along and repeat it, but it was originally said by Socrates. He who believes he can and he who believes he can are usually both right. So the thing is, what are you believing about your life? What are you believing about your finances? What are you believing about love life? What are you believing about your family's future? What are you believing about business and what you can do in this world in business? What are you believing about the impact that you're going to make on people's lives? Now, what I want you to understand is, coming from me, I want you to understand that this is not an overnight success. This is a process of grooming and developing and controlling your state. It's about waking up and choosing how you're going to move through your day. I wake up every day with a heart of gratitude. It doesn't matter what I went through yesterday. It doesn't matter what I'm facing today. What matters is there's something in this world to be grateful for. First and foremost, I'm still breathing. And if I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. Next, that is, if I'm still breathing and still in the fight, I'm going to, in some way, somehow, during the course of that day, positively impact the life of someone. If I have to stop somebody in the grocery store, if I have to pull my truck over and get out and talk to a homeless person, whatever I got to do, I'm not going to end the day without positively impacting the life of someone. I'm going to be a force in this world. Again, you can't do that and feel bad. You cannot wake up and say, I'm grateful, and feel bad. You cannot wake up and say, I'm grateful, and be sad. You cannot wake up and say, I'm grateful, and be angry. The moment that you approach gratitude, you drop low frequency emotions, you drop low frequency ideas and thoughts, and you immediately start to approach a place where you can change your life. This is a step by, you make a choice every day of what you're going to focus on. Things are going to happen. Things are going to be out of your control. Some of the things that you are approaching are so great and so grand that they're not just going to roll over for you. You're going to experience delay. And you're going to have people who in your periphery that are going to tell you, because it didn't happen in 6 months, it didn't happen in 2 years, it didn't happen in 5 years, that it can't possibly happen. You need to focus on something else. The problem with most people is that they keep giving up. You wouldn't have to start over so much if you would stop quitting. Yes, it's going to require you to have some resilience. One of the, to me personally, one of the most powerful courses I teach is my course on resilience. Why? Because if you can find a way to press through whatever you're facing, you'll eventually get the plan. If you don't have it, you eventually make the connections you need to make. If you don't have them, you will eventually build a circle around yourself that will allow you to open up and do something remarkable, extraordinary, but you're going to have resilience. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how many people you're connected to. It's not the amount of money. It's, are you willing to go the distance? Will you give up? Because here's the thing I can tell you, and I've been 100% right up until this point. If there's a point that you can look at and say, man, if this happens, I'll quit, I guarantee it's going to happen. Whatever the point is that you look at and say, I'm not willing to go past that point, you will eventually meet that point and you will be shut down. There has to be a resolve within inside of yourself that says, if I'm breathing, I'm pushing. I'm never giving up. I'm never turning around. I'm never letting go. I'm not going to fold under the pressure. I'm not going to fold because I had a setback. I'm not going to fold because people are talking about me. I'm not going to fold because it didn't work like I thought it was going to work this time. I'm going to push. If I said I was going to get it, I'm going to get it. There's no in between. There's no halfway. You have to finish. If you're willing to go the distance, there's absolutely nothing in this world you can't have. You can literally make a demand on life and life will deliver it to you. The problem is people want to make demands, but they don't want to meet the counter demands of life. You're going to say, I want this. Life is going to say, these are the sacrifices you have to make. People don't want those sacrifices because they're uncomfortable. People don't want those sacrifices because they have to come out of their comfort zone. What you got to do is you got to make up in your mind, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be focused and fixed on who I am, not my circumstances, not my situations and things that are going on in my life, not other people's opinions of me, not any. I am what God designed me to be. I'm going to give you a biblical story. I'm gonna give you a biblical story, and I'm gonna tell you why it's so powerful, and why I love using the interchanging of my knowledge about psychology, science, and performance psychology, and how God works in the Bible, because it is, and no matter what faith you talk about, it's there. So it's not just Christianity; it's any faith, but most people are going to be looking at this to have some understanding of Christian faith. There's the person in the Bible called Gideon, and Gideon is coming up in the time where the Midianites are running and rampant on Israel, and Gideon is, by his own definition, a coward. Gideon is threshing wheat in the wine press to hide from the Midianites, and there comes a theophany. A theophany in theology is the appearance of God in some form or presence in the Old Testament. And here is this, and they call it an angel of light or angel of God sometimes, but here it is, and Gideon is sitting there, and God is calling him a mighty man of valor. Now, granted, Gideon, when God calls Gideon a mighty man of valor, Gideon is what? Hiding in the wine press, threshing wheat, not behaving like a mighty man of valor. And if you look at it, he does it more than once. What is he doing? God doesn't call you as you are behaving. God doesn't call you according to your situations or your circumstances. God refers to you in accordance to your design. God designed Gideon to be a mighty man of valor. God designed Gideon to be something great and to leave a lasting impression. And you're no different than anybody that you've read about in past, whether it's a biblical character, whether it's a historical character. You are not meant to be any less. The thing is, will you step out on faith on your design? Will you embrace the responsibility of living up to who you're supposed to be? Will you walk through the flames of adversity? Will you walk through the flames of discord? Will you be willing to stand up to the resistance of those who want to see you fall back in the box of average and mediocrity? Will you push through? That's your responsibility. Ultimately, you're going to end up being who you determine and decide to be by how you respond to your adversity, how you respond to the pressures of life, how you respond to setbacks, how you deal with hurt and disappointment and loss, because it's going to happen to you. You have a choice to stand up and go out there and do something exceptional, something extraordinary, something phenomenal. You have the opportunity to be a representation of the designer and living up to the level of your design. But it does not happen overnight. But you can go through this process of transformation. It is designed that way. You can become. It is about saying, I am going to become whatever I need to be in order to do and have whatever it is I want to do and have. What you focus on, you feel. What I mean by, if you decide to focus on what's wrong, it becomes bigger. It becomes the very force that creates the emotional response. The emotional response becomes the anchor. The anchor holds you in that place, and you repeat that cycle. But if you decide to sit up and say, no matter what I'm going through, I'm built for this. No matter what they say about me, I'm built for this. No matter what the situation looks like now, I'm built for this. No matter what that bank account statement says, I'm built for this. The better day is coming. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am all of the things that I need to be. And I'm not going to allow a situation to determine what's going to be the total story of my life. I'm walking out of it, and I'm walking into something greater, because I have that power given to me by God, and absolutely nothing can stop it. But it's up to you. It's absolutely up to you. So the question is, what are you going to do? Is 2024 really going to be your year? It's going to be another year of you revisiting all the things that went wrong, or is it going to be another year where the first time you hit some heartache, you just go, here we go again, and you fall into that same old self-pity mechanism that revisits everything that's wrong and anchors you in a negative emotion that you can't shake, not understanding that that negative emotion has you so far away from the mind of God, the power of God, the spirit of God, because he's operating above 700 hertz. And here you are down here operating at 200 hertz because of what happened this morning. I refuse to let what happened this morning separate me from the answers for tomorrow. You are going to have to understand you can't have both. You can't wallow in your misery and have power. It's absolutely impossible. So you've got to determine within yourself, you know what am I going to do? Am I going to wallow in the misery, or am I going to stand up and walk into my destiny? And if you're not careful, you'll let all the other little wallowers and whiners pull you in, because people find it easier to complain than change. And misery loves company. I didn't understand it when mama used to tell me that. Used to tell me misery loves company, but I would always say it, but I didn't understand it. The bottom line is, let me tell you why misery loves company. See, misery is this little box you in, this little box that traps you, this little box that tells you you'll never amount to anything, this little box that says it's okay to be average because everybody else is average. And this little box just keeps going. And in this box are all the people complaining about all the things that stop them from being great, about why they aren't who they could be, because this happened when I was a child. That happened when I was a child. This happened in my first relationship. This happened on my first job. This happened. And there are all these people in there complaining. And let me tell you why misery loves company, because in the moment that you decide, I'm no longer going to be in this box, I'm no longer going to be a whiner and a complainer, I'm taking control of my destiny, I'm standing up, I'm squaring my shoulders, and I'm walking out there. I'm ready to take my bumps and my bruises, but I will not remain in this maze of mediocrity. Guess what happens? The moment you start to climb out, your ascension starts to convict their mediocrity. Your rise out of that box starts to make their excuse a lie, and you automatically start to convict their mediocrity through the ascension to greatness. And they realize that either they got to get off the pot and start doing what you're doing, or they got to find a way to pull you back in. The easy thing to do is to try to break you, because that's the way the negative mind works. Get yourself around some people who've been there. Get yourself around some people who see greatness in you, even in ways you don't see it yourself. And I'm gonna tell you, if you've never really truly explored your greatness, when people first start talking about it, it'll make you uncomfortable. It's a bunch of people running around here now with imposter syndrome. You know what that is? There's something special about you, but because of where you come from, because of what life has done in the past, you feel like you're really just pretending. And you'll start looking for reasons why you're not that person. Oh man, I can't say I'm that. Look, oh, look at this over here. Oh man, I can't say I'm that. Look what's happening in his. Look. Things are going to happen in your life. There's never going to be this time that there's this perfect utopia. But what you can be is a winner every day by the way you wake up and deal with your problems. It doesn't mean that everything goes your way. It means that you deal with everything with an expectation of coming out on top, that you do not fold, that you do not quit, that you do not lay down. I am challenging you right now today. Don't go out there thinking you can just say it's the best year of your life, and then when it doesn't go your way, you just say, well, maybe next year. No, you take it. You go out there and you take it. You go out there every day and you stand up and say, no matter what, I'm not going to sleep until I do something great today. I'm not going to sleep until I grow today. I'm not going to sleep until I touch someone today. I am going to be a difference maker. That's your responsibility to the designer. Not to be perfect, not to have all the answers, but what you really need is to be the best version of yourself today. And that's to believe that you can be better. And that's to pursue better. That's to speak kindly to yourself. Stop talking down on yourself. Stop lowering yourself. Stop worrying about whether someone believes you're capable or not. Stop worrying about whether someone believes in your vision or not. Your vision is your vision. The very fact that you can conceive it in your mind is God's evidence that it's possible. You don't need anybody else to validate it. You don't need anybody else to affirm it. You got to start walking in it. Even if you are, walk in it anyway. I wish you the best. I do. I'm challenging you. If you want it to be your best year ever, you have to make it your best year ever. And you have to go in knowing that it's going to be a challenge, that life isn't going to lay down for you, but you still have to push through it. That's my challenge to you. Again, as I said in the beginning, for those of you who want to take the course, I did not put a link to work with me, but if you want to work with me, again, it's not cheap, but you can email um, support at rickwallacephd.link and let them know you want to work with me, and they'll get that information to you. But for those of you who want to take it a little slower, you can enroll in this course. We do offer afterpay, which allows you to break it down into 4 payments. Also, we still have, for a limited time, the 7-day online business launch course, which is the blueprint I've used for the last 14 plus years to set up online entities and revenue streams. And I'm giving it to you. It was regularly $607 for the next 4 days or so. It's going to be $207 the next 4 days or so, or until we get 100 people to enroll. So on that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get out here. But as I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. And I'm challenging you to understand something. The things that I've been blessed to be able to do in this life wasn't because I'm different, wasn't because I'm special. Everybody's unique. Everybody's special. Nobody's the same. Nobody's supposed to be doing exactly what the next person is doing. That's why this cookie cutter mindset hunkers people in mediocrity, because everybody's being carbon copies of everybody else. You weren't meant to be a carbon copy. You were meant to be unique and special, but your uniqueness comes from your gifting, and everybody has one. So I don't want you feeling like you're not supposed to be that person. You're supposed to be the best version of you. And if you really truly search out that person and become that person, you're going to find out you're going to do some things beyond your wildest dreams. But you're going to have to be willing to press through. That's my challenge to you. Much love. I wish you the best. Go get it. For those that want to work with me, again, if you want to work directly with me, email support at rickwallacephd.link. If you want to take the course, which is more affordable, that link is in there. You can also pay with Afterpay. And I think everybody, if you don't have at least 2 individual streams of income, you need to have that 7-day online business launch course. You need to start creating multiple streams of income as quickly as possible. And that course teaches you that. So on that note, look, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.